We've got some updates here from Frosty around AnetaBTC. It's always interesting to hear what's going on in that ecosystem. And since launch, I have to say, Aneta's been doing quite well. Frosty, welcome back. Let's get some updates in regards to what on earth is happening.
Thank you, Pete. It's always a pleasure to be here. One of the best podcasts on Cardano. Pete always does a great job. It's good to be here with you again, Pete. Number one, Learn Cardano. And now Learn Cardano has all these, like this fun ticketing system. He's getting the NFTs involved. You mint the NFT. It's a really cool thing that you guys are doing and you keep building. So thanks again for having me on. AnetaBTC, it's going very well. We have a lot of updates, both over the last couple of weeks and now, over the next 2-3 weeks, and then going into the next couple of months in the new year. We're very much looking forward to it. I would say the biggest thing, I guess the highlight, we just came out with an announcement yesterday saying that 36 Bitcoin has gone through the protocol, which is about $1.3 million worth of BTC that's been successfully processed. So, from my perspective, going from, pretty much having nothing done to then building and launching the protocol and now having millions of dollars having gone through the protocol, I think it's been a really cool moment for us in the community to see the growth that it's had over the last 2 years.
That's pretty amazing. That's a big number. Was it 36 Bitcoin you said?
That's right. And I think the total amount of Bitcoin in the system is right around 15 Bitcoin. But once you count the total number of volume that's been processed, it's nearing 36 Bitcoin.
Wow, that's amazing. That's absolutely phenomenal numbers, especially for the early days of the protocol, with people trying it out and seeing how it all works, and now actually using wrapped Bitcoin on the Cardano chain. That's really exciting to see. So what's coming up next then for the protocol? What's your next goals, and what are you trying to achieve coming up?
Yeah, I would say the next biggest thing is the development of the V2 protocol, which is more decentralized. Right now, the current system, it's centralized. It's one entity that's able to process the transactions, and it presents different risks to the users, where they have to decide if they're going to trust or not trust the entity. And originally, the vision is to have a fully decentralized system. And the most important thing right now is the corresponding catalyst proposal that we're coming out with. So we're going to humbly request funds from the community in order to have the funds necessary to build the V2 protocol. As some people know, or maybe some people don't know, it's definitely requires some complexity to build. And, there's a lot of different moving parts in order to make sure that the V2 protocol is secure and that it's as seamless as possible for the end user. So in the next couple of days, maybe by the time this is released, we'll have released the Project Catalyst proposal. So if you are seeing this, please support us, and let's get this proposal to go through for Fund 11.
How much are you guys asking for funding for this particular version? And then I'll ask, how does it differ as well from V1 and V2?
Yeah, I think we're still finalizing the proposal, but I think it's asking for about 400,000 ADA, in that range. And basically what that covers is, all the things from the architecture to the off-chain development, which is really the most complex part. Luckily, I guess this already goes into your next question of sort of what to expect with the V2 protocol. But the V1 smart contracts were already written so that they were able to be easily upgraded to the V2 protocol. So a lot of what needs to be done for V2 is really the off-chain code, and onboarding the different decentralized vaults that are able to help process the transactions. And then along with that, we'd like to also conduct the audit to make sure that everything is secure for the community as well.
The way it works now, just to explain it to people, it's got a watcher and a guard-based system. Could you explain a little bit about how the protocol works so people understand the amount of development that you need to go into V2?
That's right. Yeah, and that's how it'll work for V2. Right now with the system that we have for V1, it's basically you could look at it as one guard, and there aren't any watchers in the V1 implementation. So basically the guard will just scan for all of the activity that's either happening on the Cardano side and the Bitcoin side. Uh, and if it meets the right requirements for what the protocol is looking for, then it'll either mint or redeem to the user that's requesting to do so. The V2 protocol, it has the architecture similar to Rosen, where it introduces, they call it watchers and guards, but we call them angels and guardians. And now what you're going to have is a more federated system where you have not just one entity that is one. The other risk with the centralized system is that it has full custody of all of the Bitcoin assets. So like we were saying, there was $1.3 million of assets going through the protocol, and that was all in the custody of one node, which isn't ideal. And what's nice about this V2 version is you have a larger number of nodes via the multi-sig wallet that have custody of these assets, and it requires a majority consensus to approve the transactions to move any assets in and outside of the custody vault.
Gotcha. Okay, that's a really good explanation. Thank you for breaking that one down. Now, with the movement or move over to a more decentralized system, does that also open up the opportunity for other people to become angels and guardians as well on the platform?
Yes, for sure, and that'll be a big part of the platform is getting the community and community's involvement, because ultimately, at least with the way that the protocol is supposed to work, the more angels that you have, the more secure the protocol should be, and all of those angels will be able to share a portion of the rewards that are available to help secure the protocol.
Gotcha. Okay, that's really cool. I'll keep an eye out for the proposal and make sure I put links for it down below in the show notes. So if anyone's watching this, they can get more of an update and see exactly what you guys are covering there. All right. So what can people do now to get involved with the community and support you guys around AnetaBTC?
Yeah, so I would say right now the best way to get involved is we have our upcoming staking V2. So in the first version of staking, users were able to stake their CNETA and NETA and earn additional CNETA and NETA. But in this version with the V2, now the stakers are earning the assets that the AnetaBTC community and team have earned over time. So, we have this semi-large pool of assets that's been garnered via community support and different initiatives that we've had, where we hold a few cBTC, a good bit of Ergo, a good bit of ADA, and now at least for the cBTC and the Ergo, that'll now get redistributed to the CNETA and NETA stakers. So within the next 2 weeks or so, we're developing the portal right now, and the stakers will be able to now passively earn both cBTC and Ergo. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. I think a big thing that we're focused on is one, providing value to the community holders and advancing the protocol forward. The number one priority right now is to really focus in on making the best Bitcoin wrapping protocol that's out there, not just on Cardano, but hopefully in the whole crypto ecosystem. There's always like a lot of things you have to decide between. Like, is it good to maybe build this V1 protocol that we have and then expand it to assets like Ethereum and Algorand? Or should you just focus on getting out the new versions of the Bitcoin protocol and making that as good as possible? And ultimately, we decided that was the best route to, hopefully focus on what we're good at and stick with the Bitcoin wrapping. So yeah, that's where we're at right now.
In terms of the funding, you've got the CALS proposal, but are there other ways that you guys can get funding to continuously improve on this and develop the protocol further?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't have obvious answers off the top of my head. I think that's why it's really important that we push for this catalyst proposal. If we don't get the catalyst proposal, well, we'll have to figure it out. There's always a way to make things work, but ultimately, the resources would be very beneficial. And I think a key thing to consider is that because the structure is similar to Rosen, and it really is a phenomenal architecture that they've put together. And people might think, oh, we already have Rosen Bridge. Why do we need another bridge that's similar? And to that, I would say the key difference is that we're trying to build a protocol that is natively living on Cardano. Uh, the Rosen Bridge, it's phenomenal software, but all of the smart contracts are occurring on the Ergo side. It's an ergocentric bridge. And what we want to do is build this wrapping protocol that's 100% natively on the Cardano side. So to people that may be wondering why it's important to support this proposal, I would say that's the main reason.
Have you ever considered VCs or anything like that? I know Aneta is very community centric and aligns with like the views and ideals of Cardano and its community. But had VCs ever been put on the table to try and get funding for this?
Yeah, very much so in the early days. I remember, and really it was like never our plan to get involved with VCs, but I remember, the first couple of months, especially, there was people reaching out to, try to be like one of those early VCs investors, but we just weren't so interested at the time. But now, I don't know, at this stage in the game, I don't know if that's like the most viable option on the table. But I think basically our path forward, if we aren't to get the catalyst funds, the good thing is that uh, there's ways that we can still improve the V1 protocol, and luckily the operational overhead for that is not super intense. Obviously, to build the V2 protocol, it's going to require a lot of development effort and we'll need very skilled developers. So of course it's gonna cost some money. But the V1 protocol at this point, it's pretty stable, and the overhead expenses aren't too much. So at the very least, if we aren't able to get the funding for Catalyst, of course we'll continue forward, and ultimately there's still a lot of ways that we can still improve the V1 protocol. So at the very least, we'll continue making V1 the best possible version that we can.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. I know there's a little bit of a fee that you guys take when assets are bridged back and forth from Cardano and Bitcoin. Do you think increasing the volume to a point where those fees from the protocol would be enough to try and support your development? It probably has to be quite a lot, and the price of Bitcoin needs to be a lot higher as well. But it would be good to see the protocol actually support its own development and everything around it.
100%. And of course the volume isn't where we want it. We're always trying to push for more, and we always want, like, even if we had 200 Bitcoin in the protocol right now, we'd probably be disappointed that we didn't have 500. But
Yeah.
to that point,
Yeah.
it's the fees that have been generated have done a good job of maintaining the expenses of what it costs to cover the Bitcoin API. So that's a monthly expense, and the fees also helped us get a much needed piece of infrastructure, so that now we can run the hardware that was necessary for this API entirely on our own server, and that's also going to help us for V2 as well. So yeah, and in a lot of ways, the revenue has helped get reinvested into maintaining the operational expenses. And that was sort of the idea behind staking, is that we realize that, right now at this given point in time, if people are just staking and earning the cBTC revenue, it's not going to be much, especially say you're sharing $15,000-$20,000 with 15,000 holders across the world. Maybe you'll get a few cents, but that's why I think we're really in this fortunate position to have all these assets that we can start distributing. And that should give holders a very consistent form of revenue for the next 12 months. Now, what that means for us is that during that time, we have time to not only build this V2 protocol very effectively, but also really focus on the user experience. Because what I would like to see, even with V1, is an improved user experience. Because even right now, it's compatible with the main wallet it's compatible with is Moonshine, and it's also compatible with Trezor. But even from my perspective, I can see that it's certainly not an optimized user experience. It's not as seamless as it could be. And I think that's a big thing that personally I'm very focused on, is really optimizing that user experience so that a new Bitcoin holder that comes across this protocol, or a wrapped Bitcoin holder on Ethereum that comes across this protocol, they should be able to very seamlessly and securely use this protocol without having to worry about sending all these op return messages that are involved, and then and things of this nature. So that's something that I'm very much looking forward to. And then in tandem with that, decentralizing the protocol as much as we can to increase the security.
All right. It sounds like a good future for AnetaBTC. Hopefully you guys do get that catalyst funding, and that should spearhead a lot of the development for you guys in early 2024. Hopefully get something out as well before the next Bitcoin halvening as well. That'll be quite exciting to see, and gain some traction around that. Is there any last words you'd like to leave the audience with before we end this interview?
Any last words? I guess another thing I'm very grateful for, that I think is really cool for our team and the community, is the how the cBTC utility has been shaped over time. Like now we're starting to see more lending platforms adopt cBTC. Fluid tokens had added support. I've been pretty active myself with using cBTC to facilitate different loans. And it's just really cool that the idea that anyone across the world with a cell phone or any desktop device can mint their Bitcoin and bring it into Cardano and start facilitating loans. Something that never really existed before, and at one point was just an idea, and now it's a reality. And it's had zero security glitches, millions of dollars gone through the protocol, and I think we're just getting started. So I'm very excited for the future. I think today's the 28th. I know Cherry Lend is supposed to launch in 3 days, and people will be incentivized to use cBTC on the lending platform. So I'm excited to see the continued adoption with not only Cardano products, but Bitcoin products as well, whether it be different wallets that are easier to use to improve the user experience, and hopefully complete our mission to build the best Bitcoin wrapping protocol.
All right. Awesome, Frosty. It's been a pleasure speaking to you and getting these updates to find out what's going on with the AnetaBTC. So hopefully everything goes through, and we can chat again about V2 being deployed and going online, and everyone can see how that one works.
Yep, that sounds great. And then lastly, again, of course, I have to give a shout out to Lorne Cardano again. Pete is always very supportive, very accessible to get in contact with, and I think he does one of the best jobs in all of Cardano. So thanks again, Pete, for all you do.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for that. All right, we'll chat soon.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debating.